But okay, so this is the Team Physics Nation team call. Today is um, Thursday, April 21st, 2016. And what I really wanted to talk about today, I know we have so many new coaches like on our team, which is so amazing. A lot of you guys are in trainings, either in the social media training or the Diamond Group. And so I figured that what I prepared for tonight would really be helpful across the board. Whether you're a new coach, whether whatever training you're in, it would be helpful. So I hope that you find it to be helpful. And if you have any questions at the end, then I'll take some questions as well. So let me put the slides up. Can you see that, Janae? Can you see the slides?
I can see them, yeah. Facebook 101.
Oh, cool. Yeah, all right.
Yep.
So, all right. So what I wanted to talk about today is really Facebook, because most of us run our primarily our business on Facebook, and a lot of what we use on Facebook can be used on Instagram. But I know that a lot of us are just using our personal pages, and it's in my opinion that whatever you put on your personal page cannot necessarily be doubled as content on your Instagram, because they're two different animals, and people will not follow you if you're posting the same exact stuff on Instagram that you're posting on Facebook, because it is so picture driven. You need better pictures to catch people's attention on Instagram. However, I will say that I and a lot of other coaches double their content that they put on their Facebook like page and what they put on Instagram. Like literally, I put the same post probably 90% of the time. And if the picture is congruent and I feel like it's acceptable, then I'll go ahead and put it on Facebook. But most of the time, it's the same message. So, what I wanted to talk about with Facebook today is, as a newer coach, and what we're learning in our trainings right now, I feel like this would just be helpful just to give you some more tips, and what I feel is really, really important as far as getting started with social media, putting yourself out there, getting over fears, whether or not you think maybe your posts are annoying or it's going to annoy your friends and family. And just, we all are at a little bit of a different starting point, and that's totally okay. I don't want you to have to worry about being annoying, because as you layer things in and sprinkle things in the right way, people are going to know that you're serious about what you're doing, and the right people are going to know that when they're ready to take any sort of health and fitness sort of step, that you are their go-to person. And that's kind of what we want. So, another really important thing is to listen to people, and just, when you are having conversations with them, whether it be on your post or privately, listen to what their needs are, and that way you can direct the conversation in the direction that would be most fitting for them. So what I wanted to talk about first is this thing called affinity and edge rank. So these, as a new coach and even as a veteran coach, these are terms that you typically don't hear, because Facebook is really, really tricky. It's changing all the time. I feel like whenever you get something down, immediately it changes. And so it can be a little frustrating, but the important thing to know is that to just stay the course and keep using trial and error to see what works. So affinity is your personal interaction score with someone on Facebook. So, whenever you're commenting on people's posts, whether they're commenting and liking on your post, it's just that affinity of that personal interaction, whether or not they're interacting with you at all. Now, edge rank is your overall secret popularity ranking with Facebook based on your friends and followers' interactions with you. And what's funny is that only Facebook really knows this. It's kind of like the behind the scenes, so to speak. I put an example here for for example, let's say we have 300 friends, as a new coach starting out, it's people, people from church, school, past jobs, whatever. It's people that you probably know face to face at some point in your life. And so 300 friends, you might say, well, gosh, they're not in the health and fitness, and I never really used Facebook before, and now I have this business and I'm expected to, post all the time. So, with this 300 friends, and maybe you rarely post, maybe it's once a week, Facebook recognizes that as you have a low edge rank because you don't have a lot of interaction on your page. You might post something that, you bought a house or you got a new car or kind of something significant in your life. And the people who normally would interact on your page is going to see that and they're probably going to like it, but it's not really going to do much to it since you don't post frequently enough. And then another important thing is no matter how many friends you have is to figure out what your peak times are so that the most people that do follow you see your posts and your edge rank grows. Because, if you post something at 7:00 in the morning and it goes up through people's feeds and no one interacts with it, it's kind of considered an old post and no one later on in the day is going to see that because your edge rank is somewhat low. You're not considered to have any sort of popularity on Facebook, so to speak. So we want to get that up, and the way that we do that is to start posting more frequently so that people start to interact with your page. And the more people that interact, the more your popularity grows, and the older posts that you've posted are recycled up into the newsfeed. So for example, if I posted something this morning, I posted this morning about my dad's birthday, and it was like at 3:00. That's not a peak time for me at all. But I wanted to put that post up because I wanted to put my more important post about the free clean eating group at my prime time, 7:00, 7:30 time. But since that's kind of a post that will get recycled because people will see that post as people like it, his friends, my friends. It has more it has more edge rank because it's kind of considered a popular post, if that makes sense. And that's kind of what we want. And so crickets on a post, we've all been there. I've been there. Every single coach on this team has been there. And it sometimes can be discouraging and scare us off, thinking that we, aren't doing things right. What are we doing wrong? That sort of thing. But an audience and your market, whether they are your current friends or not, it just takes time. And as a new coach, it's almost more important that your posts need to be creative because you want people that are already on your page to be able to participate in your posts, even though they might not really be into health and fitness and exactly what you're doing right now. So a good way to do this is maybe you're trying to decide between some new tennis shoes and you can't decide whether you want the black ones or the hot pink ones. So you put a picture of both up on your Facebook page and ask people, friends, I need your help. I can't decide on which new Nikes to get and I'm stuck. Which ones do you like better? And give people the opportunity to comment and get involved in your post, and it kind of secretly gives them the idea that you are working out, you are, that go-to fitness person without really making it blatantly obvious. You're kind of just sprinkling that in. So those are really good posts. It allows you to have a subtle message behind the meaning of your post. So when you hear crickets on a post, a good thing to ask yourself is to consider the timing, the audience, and the content. Is it funny, engaging, relatable? Is it credible? And is it valuable? Those are all things that you want to ask yourself, because if you're posting the same things over and over again, people get bored and they don't even want to interact with you. So the more value, the more that you can get people engaged and be relatable to those people, chances are your audience is going to grow and people are going to start interacting with your page more. Another really good thing is, to make your pictures and things that you're posting appealing to the eye. People are mostly viewing Facebook from their phones. They're going super quick through the news feed, and they want something to kind of be scroll stopping so that they will stop on and read your post and what you have to say. And an easy way to do this is to use apps. Like my favorite one right now is WordSwag. They have some really awesome new fonts and they've just updated it. It does cost like $2, but it's literally my go-to and I use it every single day. They have cool glitter fonts. They have cool fading fonts. It's really, really cool, and it's really easy to make your pictures more appealing that way. Maybe make a graphic of something that is common, but it allows people to stop. And it goes into that creating that original content for yourself. So maybe an example would be why people choose bad foods. Come up with some content as to why you think people choose bad foods, whether it's timing, whether it's because they have kids and they're always on the go, they're used to eating chips and whatever for lunch every day, and over time that's just what their body craves. You can come up with some really cool graphics that are easy to make to post, and then it'll grab their attention. They'll want to share that content or save it to their phone so that it can be a reminder to them later in the future, and they're going to know that it came from you. Another good thing to offer people that would be valuable and free advice would be checklists. You can come up with different checklists for things, maybe things that you don't never leave your house with before work. Simple things like that doesn't require a whole ton of thinking and brainstorming, but it would be valuable to someone when they're going through Facebook. And it's just something a little different too. And you can always ask people for feedback as well. So, maybe you have a good friend that you would be comfortable going to, whether they're on your team here, one of us, or maybe it's someone from the outside that doesn't really know exactly what you're doing, or maybe it's a relative or something, and just ask for their honest opinion for feedback on your post. Like, do you like this? Do you find this valuable? Is it something that you would share with a friend or whatever? Just get some basic feedback so that you kind of know where you stand and how you might improve in some way. So I put together a list of Facebook do's and don'ts. This is really important. As a lot of them might be common sense, but I think that, this is something that if you, as a new coach, you haven't heard these things yet, or you haven't done any sort of social media training at all, these are something that just aren't common sense unless you've either done some training or you've been around to know how Facebook works. So the number one thing that I can say is do not post a link in your caption, in your original post, because it goes back to that affinity. And Facebook does not want you leaving Facebook for anything. So if you find a funny YouTube video and you put the YouTube video link in your post, you're probably not going to get a lot of traction on that, because you have to leave Facebook to go to YouTube to watch the video, and Facebook doesn't want you to do that. So, there are apps and programs that are free that you can download that video to your computer and upload it organically. I can share that if that's something that interests you, or you don't want to go through all that mess, that's fine. But my suggestion is to not post that link in your caption. And it's even said now that if you post that link in the comments, you may or may get traction. It's kind of like iffy whether or not you will. So that's just something to keep in mind. But or you could also, sometimes in the past it's worked to put a link on a photo as well, because it's not actually it doesn't recognize that it's in the original post. The next one is super big for me as well. It's do not click share from another person's post, blog, or third party. And if you're in the social media training with Christy and I, you know that for the 2 weeks that you're in, this is and an expectation that you are not to share anything for those 2 weeks. If you find something that you really, really like from someone else's page, reformat that and make it your own. So if it's a recipe you find a picture you like, copy the recipe, and make it your own post. Don't share it because it's driving people away from your post to that person's page or whatever, and Facebook doesn't want that. So it doesn't give you credit for sharing people's posts. Plus, when people go to your page, all they see is shared content. And if they're new to your page, you know, it's somebody that you're building your network with and they're a new friend of yours, they scroll through your page because they want to get to know you, and all they see is crazy shared content that's super random, and all they really want to know is a little bit about you. So do not share stuff. Please reformat it, and make content because you do want your content to be shared with others. So you and I want the things that we create to be shared with others because Facebook recognizes that as being more popular, and it gives you more affinity for that post. So that's a good thing. A big one is don't post stock photos. Now, I'm guilty of this, absolutely. We're all guilty of this, I think, at some point. But the more that you can reduce the amount of stock photos that you post, the better, because you do want people to see you. You do want people to be able to relate to you and not just a stock photo with a quote. And, I'll admit that this is kind of something that I've been lazy with, especially in the mornings. But I will say that if you can plan ahead and kind of plan out those first posts in the morning, it'll be a lot easier to not just throw up a stock photo. Do not post too much of the same thing. Again, this is an easy trap to get to fall into, especially for newer coaches, because it's hard to come up with content sometimes. They're out of ideas, and so it's kind of the same thing over and over again without any value. And again, people just kind of get bored. So, try not to share too much of the same thing. Do not post dark and blurry pics. Brighten those pictures with apps, and it's super easy to do. It takes minimal time. You can do it from your phone. The apps are free, and it will make a world of difference. I mean, you don't want to look at a picture that's completely dark, you're in a bar or something, and you can barely see even who it is. Now, I wouldn't suggest posting a picture of you in a bar anyway, but, brighten that picture with an app. And two good apps that will do that for you very easily are PS Express. And if you use PS Express, which is Photoshop Express, then you want to use exposure to brighten that picture. Another one that I use all the time is Facetune, and you do have to pay for that. I think it's like $2 or $3, but again, it's something I use every single day. I freaking love it. You can blur the background, you can brighten your pictures, you can reduce wrinkles. It's pretty amazing. I really love that app. So if you want to go ahead and invest a couple of bucks, I would suggest getting that app because it's really, really helpful. Now, if you're taking pictures of food, this is a big one, especially for Instagram and for Facebook. You want to use natural light, and when you're cleaning up your pictures, you want to to increase the sharpness and the clarity. You might not want to necessarily do that when it's a picture of yourself, but for food, you absolutely want to do that. It makes it more vibrant and colorful and just makes it pop a little bit more. And it also helps if you can use white plates. Now, I know that's kind of nitpicky, but it allows it to be super clean and just more appealing to the eye when you can use a white plate. So I did that. I got super cheap white glass plates and bowls that I use just for pictures from like Kohl's, and they were like literally a couple dollars. So something to keep in mind. You do not want to post a statement unless it's really funny and compelling. And, that's just something to keep in mind. I mean, you don't want to preach and kind of be putting all these statements out there, because it's probably going to turn people off. Now, again, when you're not doing it all the time and it's funny and it kind of gets people, especially on the weekend, it's kind of lighthearted, Friday, Saturdays, you can kind of be more laid back when you're posting. So, something to keep in mind is that you want to be funny and relatable in those statement posts. Do not have posts from Instagram go directly to Facebook, because again, this goes back to that affinity and EdRank, where they're from two different sources. You're not going to get a lot of traction on those posts because they're linked together. And that content, 90% of the time, if it's going to your personal page, which a lot of us will link it to, it's not the same sort of content that should be going on Facebook as Instagram. So you don't want to put the same exact post, and link them together. Now, if you want to put that post up on Instagram, I would do it organically, and vice versa. Take the extra step to just copy and paste it into the other platform. So with Facebook, just expanding on that, with Facebook, it kind of allows you to have more variety, and Instagram maybe not so much. So a lot of times with Instagram, people will choose like 3 topics to kind of hone in on and stay very consistent with that. So maybe it's fitness, family, kids, or something like that, or food, fitness, and family. And those are the 3 things that you kind of hone in on and stay consistent on Instagram. Well, with Facebook, you can obviously have much more variety. It's kind of your story to tell. Oh, dang it. I want to go back. Okay. It's your story to tell. And Facebook is more like a reality TV show. And the last post here is, do not copy other people's posts. Be original. People want to see you, and people want to join you for you, not for somebody else. And Facebook is actually recognizing now if you're like word for word exactly pasting other people's content into your pages, they will lower that popularity, and you won't get much traction on that post. The same goes for pictures that go along with that post. So it's important to get inspiration and kind of pull things from other coaches. Of course, we all do it, but don't just copy and paste word for word from another coach, because it's not being true to who you are, and that's what we really, really want. You want to be you. So Facebook do's. All right. So this is always my first topic when it comes to Facebook do's. This is super, super important. And if you're in the social media training with me right now, this is a task by tomorrow. So you should just do it anyway. And it kind of allows people to see that you're serious and you are ready for business. Is to have a bright, clear, smiling headshot of just you. And before you had a business, you probably had a picture of your dog as your profile picture, maybe a picture of you and your husband or, sister or whatever. But you want people to just see you, and it should be a smiling picture. You look happy. It's clear. They can see exactly who you are from this picture. And of course, if you want to change it for like a couple days to something fun, once you're kind of established, that's completely different. But when you're first starting out, you're trying to establish your business, it's really, really important to make it just of you. The next thing is make a cover photo that is professional and appealing, and it tells who you are. And there are so many coaches that you can get ideas from, just on our team. But other ones, if you want to search, is Melanie Mitro, Janelle Summers, Brandy Bott, Bonnie Engel. All the top successful coaches have cover photos that portray exactly who they are and kind of their style. So it's important to do that. And you can use canva.com, and I like PicMonkey better actually, but it's just more user-friendly in my opinion, but you can use both if you want to play around with it. They're both free, and they need to be done from your computer. A cover photo has to be done from a laptop or desktop with these websites. So you can't just throw it together on your phone. It's going to come out a lot better that way as well. And if you want to have super professional graphics, you can go to girlbossgraphics.com. I'm actually looking into using her myself. She's really, really great. She did Janelle Summers' cover photo, Andrea Crowder, and a couple other handful of other coaches I forget, but she does a really, really amazing job. I think she did Amber Blanche's cover photo recently, and it just looks really, really awesome. It is a little bit of money, I will say that, but I think that when you're ready to do something like that, she's the go-to girl. It's important to post 3 times a day. Variety, but consistent branding. So think kind of like a theme. You don't want to be completely all over the place, even on Facebook. Again, you can have more variety, but you want to kind of keep within like a little bubble of what people know you for, so that they know, where they can come to you on things, what you're known for. So for example, me, I love paleo. I had hypothyroidism. I'm now pregnant. Those are all things that people can relate to me on. Of course, my dog. And, those are just things that kind of incorporate about my brand. And then on my page, I'm the girl with the glitter headband. I like girly girl things. I'm happy and positive. Those sort of things kind of fit in with my theme of not just health and fitness, other things as well. So think outside the box on that. And of course, we can kind of brainstorm as a team if that helps as well. But it's just something to think about. Post with a great original picture. You want that picture to be to stop people's scroll, and short, funny posts and memes. So you don't always want to post an in-depth post, or I know that sometimes when we do a business post or something that's a little bit more important, it can get kind of lengthy, and that's fine. You just don't want to do it all the time. You want to add value with short, concise content so that people will get the message and stop their scroll, but not take too much of their time, because if it's super long, most the time they're probably going to move right past that. Ask questions that truly ask an opinion, and take polls. Again, you don't want to do this all the time, but it can definitely be a staple in what you do. So it can be health and fitness related, but you want to ask questions that truly ask their opinion, not questions like that might be rhetorical, like where do you want to be in 5 years? Because chances are people aren't going to comment on that. They're just going to think about it and move past it. Things that I ask to get more popularity on Facebook are fun things that, and I usually post them around lunchtime, because people are bored at work, they're on their phone, they're on their lunch break, and they're just scrolling through, and they, want to play along type of thing. So you could ask questions like, what's your favorite store to shop at? what's your favorite, cheat meal? What do you like to do on the weekends? Do you stay in? Do you watch Netflix? And then you can kind of throw in secretly things that might relate to the business. Do you struggle with exercise or nutrition more? People are going to answer that question. Things I've asked that would relate to Beachbody On Demand would be, who has Chromecast, who has Apple TV, who has Amazon TV? I think those are the three that would sync to their TV at home. And then people will answer that. And then those are the posts that you can go back and kind of reach out to those people separately. So like with the, do you struggle with nutrition or with fitness or accountability more? That's something that 20 people might comment on, and then you have 20 conversations that you can have right there. You can message them privately and just say, hey, I saw that, you struggle with nutrition a little bit. Do you want to join my 5-day clean eating challenge with us? Maybe I can help you get on track a little bit. It doesn't have to be like inviting them to do the 21-day fix right away, but at least you can start that conversation with them and kind of get an idea of what they need you for. So those are really, really good posts that aren't intimidating, and they can be fun, but also answer a lot of questions for you and your business. Post pictures of you whenever possible. Again, this goes back to not using stock photos. You want people to see you. They want to see your face. On the next page, I put something like, you can't really be private in this business. I'm an introvert at heart. I never thought I'd be posting selfies on Facebook, and it was super scary for me at first. I felt kind of self-absorbed, and that people might think that I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. But when it becomes something that you do all the time and they see that you're happy and you have a good message behind it, people's opinions are going to change and haters are just going to hate. So, you kind of have to roll with the punches, but the more that you can be vulnerable and put yourself out there, the better you're off that you're going to be, so that people can be drawn to you and connect with you on a deeper level. And then that also builds trust as well. And comment that you do want to comment back at ASAP and tag them so that they see your comment back. Like, so if Janae says something like, cute picture, then you want to say, thanks, Janae. Like, you want to tag her in it so that so that she sees it and maybe will comment back, and you can kind of up that post and recycle that post up into the news feed a little bit more. So the message is to not just post and run. Maybe when you do a post, just take an extra 10 to 15 minutes to see if anyone comments and likes your stuff, and interact with them a little bit more, because again, it's going to recycle that post. It's going to give you some quick traction, and it's kind of the right thing to do, right? You want to be nice. You want to be social. That's what social media is for. And so it kind of gives you the opportunity to engage with them a little bit on what you've just posted. All right, last slide, and we'll be done. So what to expect out of all of this? And to recap, EdgeRank is going to take time. So the important message here is to be consistent. You can't always expect quick success for all of us and have great traction right out of the gate. Some of us will, but a lot of us won't. So just stay the course and be consistent. Be open. You can't be private. I just went over that. Make your profile public so that people who might be on your Instagram page can find you on Facebook, and they can kind of see a little bit more about what you're about, and if it is consistent with what they just saw on Instagram. Some people never like and comment but post anyway. And this holds true specifically for me recently on my like page. The more I post about certain things, I might not get a ton of traction on that post, but people will reach out to me privately. Maybe people don't feel comfortable posting in the comments, but they feel more comfortable reaching out to you in a different way. So you never know who's watching, so post anyway. Some people will be negative. Of course, that's just the nature of the business. When you have success and you're happy and you're putting out a positive message, people are always going to hate on you, always. It's just the way the world works. So you have the option to ignore, delete, and block. And I just went over this with one of my coaches who had an issue with a family member, creeping on her page and giving her a really, really hard time about what she's doing. She doesn't agree with it. She doesn't believe in it, and has tried to make a stand in pulling her away from that. But the good news is that she can block and you can block certain people from a specific post. So if you make a post and you're in your bikini and you're trying to show results, but you don't want your dad, your grandma, certain people to see it, you can block certain groups of people or specific people from that post. And I have to go back in and look. It's super, super easy to do. But you can do that. I know Christy Jones blocks her boyfriend from certain posts so that he doesn't see things that might cause a fight in any way. So you have the option to do that stuff if you want to do that sort of thing. Be adding to your network daily. This is, of course, if you've been in the business, you know that this is true. You know that this is something that you have to do. As a new coach, you can find people, friends of friends on Facebook. You can find people on Instagram. Instagram's a great way to be able to add to your network daily. There are ways to do it. You just have to get out there and start making relationships. Fitness and business posts usually get less traction, but again, post them anyway, because people who are watching, they're going to know you're consistent, and when they're ready to take a step, they're going to reach out to you. I promise. Sometimes a post bombs for no good reason. You can spend a ton of time on this really, really amazing post, and you're like, oh, heck yeah, it's going to rock. I know so many people are going to like it, and nothing happens, and you're like, what the heck just happened? There's no good reason for that. You just, people didn't see it. It just happens sometimes. So you can recycle that post and use it again, maybe in a month or two if no one, sees it. Don't chalk it up as a loss. Just recycle it for another time. Great posts have an original picture and a great caption. Be relatable and say the things that people are thinking but afraid to say. Again, this goes to being transparent in who you are, and being vulnerable in your message so that the people who really need that message will connect with you. And it can be with anything. So let's just say, for an example, you struggled from an eating disorder and you were bulimic or something. I struggled with an emotional eating disorder. I wasn't physically doing harm to my body, or I wasn't bulimic or anorexic or anything. I had a super emotional, unhealthy relationship with food for a very, very long time that ultimately led to my hypothyroidism. And those are the things that cut a little deep to talk about, and maybe that you don't want people to necessarily know about you. But I promise that those are the types of posts and the types of messages that are going to draw people to you because they want your help. You've overcome something that they're either dealing with or that they've dealt with in the past, and you have an instant connection because you've been through the same things. So, again, say the things that people are thinking but are maybe just a little bit afraid to say, because you have a really amazing voice and platform with social media. You can overlap content between platforms, but what works on one platform doesn't always work on Facebook and vice versa. So that's just another thing to always keep in mind. Again, I post a lot of the same things on Instagram that I do on my Facebook like page. Just not everything will go on my personal page because it just doesn't fit. So that's all I have for you. I can stop this share, and then if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask me. It doesn't have to be technically relatable to this topic, But since we only do team calls every other week, and there's quite a few of you guys on here, I would love to be able to try and answer some of your questions for you, and see what I can do for you. So take it away. Okay, hold on. I can't hear you, Janae. You're not muted. I just don't know why I can't hear you, so no. Can you turn up your volume? Is it up? Okay, that's weird. You can, if it's not like a huge long question, you can type it in the chat and then I'll answer it. And then if someone else wants to go and ask a question, you're more than welcome to. How's everyone doing? Everyone, we had such a great week. We're having such a great month with Success Club and all that stuff. You guys are doing so great. So, you know, just keep pushing towards the end of the month. We have almost a whole nother week, I think. What's today? Yeah, we have, tomorrow will be a whole nother week. So we have plenty of time to be able to still hit those goals. So many of us have points on the board, and all you have to do is just duplicate what you've done to get points on the board and do it again. Janae asked, how do I know when to post to my personal page or to my fan page? So that just comes along with experimentation. I think with if it's something like a little bit more, I try and put, since I've transitioned to my like page a little bit more, because I have, I'm trying to build my audience there. I will kind of put my more vulnerable posts there because I'm trying to get more traction. And the more transparent you can be, especially on a like page, because it looks at a like page as a business. So when you can be a person within the business and tell your story, Facebook likes that. So I mean, so many coaches will put the same content on their personal page and their like page. You know, maybe use a different picture with the same message, so it's not like the same exact thing. You know, or maybe just take a couple posts and either switch it up or post on different days and kind of like move it around. But really, I think that for the most part, I think a lot of the same stuff can happen on a Facebook and like page. Now, again, if you're trying to transition that to Instagram, I don't think so, because it needs to be more picture friendly and in line with whatever's on your Instagram page. Like, you don't want to just be super, super random. You kind of want to have a consistent thing going there. I mean, if you're taking a picture of your sweaty selfie and posting it on Instagram, chances are you're not going to get any new followers. Now, if you could post a picture of, you know, a cute workout outfit. I mean, you see on Instagram all the time, people do like outfit of the day and hashtag it OOTD for outfit of the day. That could be a good way to gain followers, because it's not really attracting competitors like we talked about, like on the team page. But it can also be workout related, and it can be a more of an appealing, like trendy picture, I guess I can say, versus just like a snapshot of you like looking like death after your workout. But you know, those are just things to think about. And you know, a lot of things with Instagram too will be filters. So you want to kind of stay consistent with your filters. You don't want to be all over the place with that. If you, I know, what's her name? Amy Silverman has a really unique Instagram page because she uses the same sort of filter all the time. And it looks really, really uniform and congruent with what she's trying to kind of portray herself as. So I guess, and when to post to your personal and fan page. Now, with your fan page, you can look at your analytics. I don't know if you know how to do that. I can try and show you real quick. And it's something that just is a feature that a like page has versus a personal page. You obviously can't do that. So you go to this top tab right here and go to Insights. You can see how your page is doing. You can see what posts are doing really, really well. And so these have really high organic reach. And so what something I might want to do is go in and boost the post for like a couple bucks or something like that to just have it reach more people because it already did really well. You can look at, okay, so if you go to post over here, you can see the times of day that are really high for me. So my 7 o'clock prime time on my personal page would not necessarily apply to my like page because I have more people around 8 p.m. To 8:30-ish on my like page that will see that post. So I would want to wait for a little bit later to do that. But unless you look at these insights and analytics, you would never know that. So again, it goes back to experimentation, trial and error, seeing what works, what sticks, what doesn't. Again, looking at these things here to see what happened. This is something that I boosted for, I think, $5, and my organic reach was $5.20, but my paid reach was over double that. So again, I don't have like a real way to tell you like if it's going to work or not. You just kind of have to play around with it and see what works for you and what people respond to. And you know, going a little bit deeper, you can even see the people who view your page. So when you're starting to target specific people, you can look at the majority of the age group here. So you know, I might just market a post to 25 to 34 since that's like the majority, or I might expand it to 25 to 44 because that's where the majority of my audience is. So it tells me what age group, where they're from. So United States, I have the majority of my likes. Canada, very few, but that's next on the list. But Dallas, Houston, and Calgary are the places that I would probably target most. And again, it tells you the language of the people that are on your page. I mean, you can literally find out anything. So just something, benefits of a like page so that you can figure out who your exact audience is. But does that answer it? Will you just like thumbs up if it answered? Okay. Anyone else have anything for me? You can either unmute or do the chat, but if not, you don't have to. No? All right. Well, I'll let you guys go. I know it's getting late for some people. And there's a lot of good TV shows on Thursday that I haven't watched yet, so I'm just joking. So yeah, you guys have a good night, and we will chat soon. Thanks for getting on the call. Have a good night.